What's up guys? In this video, you're going to be learning how to optimize your energy both for live poker and online poker. Now I'm sure you agree, when energy is high, poker is a lot easier. On the flip side, when you wake up and your energy is really low, you drag yourself out of bed, poker is a pretty tough game. Now when it comes to how much energy we have, a lot of lifestyle factors go into this, all right? How you're eating, how you're moving, how you're recovering, how much stress you're taking on, how you're living your life overall is going to dictate how much energy you have at the poker tables. Now today we're going to focus on very practical things you can be doing to increase your energy, all right? To give you more energy on a consistent basis, all right? And we're going to focus on three components. First of all, fueling in terms of nutrition, the things you're putting in your body on a consistent basis. We're going to focus on movement, especially around the grind, like the limitations of online compared to live and what we can do with those small moments. And then recharging, all right? How can we recharge from the intensity of the poker grind? And how can we make sure we're refueling so that we're able to perform at a high level consistently? All right, so first of all, we're gonna go into fueling for live poker, all right? So like I said, like what you're doing overall, your whole lifestyle of how you eat and how you fuel your body is gonna be very important. But as a live player, we've got to realize there's limitations in the casino, all right? So there's only certain foods that you can eat, and generally there's going to be a lot of unhealthy options, all right? So with that in mind, we generally want to be thinking about, okay, I want to make sure when I'm sitting down to play live, could be for 3 hours, it could be for 12 hours, I want to make sure my mind and body is fueled to perform at a high level. So I think for most players, this is not like to be taken as 100% that every player should follow this. But for most players, having a high protein and fat meal pre-grind will be very advantageous. The reason for this is fats in particular, as well as proteins to a somewhat lesser degree, are slower acting, all right? So they break down slower. So if I have a high fat meal, I stay full for longer. I also have less spikes in my kind of blood glucose, which is related to kind of energy increases and energy crashes. So if you have a high fat and high protein meal, generally you'll have a larger window where you don't get hungry, energy is quite sustainable, and you can sit and focus on poker. I'm sure you guys agree when you're in the casino playing, you don't want to be thinking about what your next meal is. All right, so having a high protein and fat meal before your grinds will be very good for you. All right, so protein and fats before. So that's going to keep you fueled for the first 3 to 5 hours of your session, and you shouldn't have to worry too much about what you're going to eat. However, if you're there all day, most likely you're going to have to fit in some food breaks whilst you're at the casino. So I think the best thing you can do, given the limitations you have on the menu, is pre-choosing which meals you're going to have. Now this might mean pre-choosing of the menu, or it might mean I'm going to go for lunch at somewhere down the road, but pre-deciding and almost having it set in stone. Every day you eat this same meal at the same time. I know for some players that might be a bit repetitive, but pre-choosing which meals you're going to eat. If you don't do that, very often you look at a menu and when you're hungry, you make bad choices. I'm not sure if you guys have been shopping, I'm sure you have, to a supermarket when you're starving and you pick up everything. I remember once when I was like maybe early 20s, and I was eating quite clean at the time, and I went food shopping when I was starving, and I was like, donuts, yes, cookies, yes, this, yes. I got so much stuff that I just seemed like I needed. And as soon as I got back and had a meal, I was like, didn't need all that food. All right, and when you're at the casino and you get tired and you're hungry, it's very easy to get a burger, to get some fries, to get whatever. So pre-choosing what meals you're gonna have either at the casino or on your breaks. And then the things that you want to avoid that are going to have a big negative impact on your energy and cognitive performance are going to be alcohol and processed foods. Some of you guys will have very strict rules and you'll never drink whilst grinding. Others will maybe drink occasionally, but obviously in a casino, it's a lot more tempting, all right? And almost no online players who I work with drink whilst grinding, but some live players can fit that in, especially if it's like a social environment. You've got to create your own rules, but generally, under most circumstances, you want to avoid alcohol and processed foods. By processed foods, I mean the burgers, the fries, the pizzas. And the reason is because you basically get a bit of energy after you have those meals, because they're generally high in sugars and processed sugars. And then after that, you have a big crash. All right, so you're gonna have an energy dip after eating processed foods. All right, so avoiding those whilst you're grinding, especially if you're playing long hours, is gonna be huge for your energy late in your session. All right, if you're having processed meals and you're just ordering from the menu randomly, you're gonna have big energy dips. All right, late in your session. All right, so avoid alcohol and processed foods. Alright, so that's the simple rules. Proteins and fats before you grind, pre-choosing your casino meals and being consistent with that, avoiding alcohol and processed foods, and you're doing pretty darn good. Alright, obviously with diet, like I said, what you're eating around your lifestyle overall is going to be important, but during your grind, that's the main things to note. Now, when it comes to online poker, we've got a lot of overlaps, but we've also got a lot of differences. We're now at home, we've got food available at all times, and we can choose what food we have available. Alright, so the first most important thing as an online player is that meals should be prepared and they should be scheduled. Alright, you've got, I wouldn't say no excuse, but basically the more unprepared you are as an online player, the more you'll make bad choices. Alright, with meals, if you've got your main meals pre-done, so that could be doing some food prep on cooked meats, on vegetables, or just having decisions made, I'm going to be eating this meal at this time, it really makes your life so much easier. Alright, so you should have a standardized breakfast, standardized lunch, standardized dinner, ideally as prepared as you need to be with those in terms of any time consumption should be already done and scheduled. Trying to eat at consistent times on a regular basis. You don't need to be military strict with this. You can deviate between 30 minutes to an hour occasionally, but there's no reason why you can't choose good meals and be prepared with that. All right, so prepared and scheduled for meal times. If you're going to start a grind one day and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to eat today, I don't know what times I'm going to eat, that's going to create a lot of problems. All right, so you literally need to, on a daily basis, solve the problem of what food am I going to eat and when. All right, in advance, before you start your session. All right, because once you're playing poker, you do not want to be wasting time and energy on thinking about meal choices. All right, next thing, we want to have healthy snacks, all right, available. If I look in your fridge, as a poker player, I'll be able to tell you basically like how much energy you're going to have for that poker session, because a lot of players just have junk food, a lot of crisps, chocolates, just things that are easy to eat. And as a poker player, you're always going to deviate to what's convenient. All right, especially online players, you're going to have a 5-minute break, a 2-minute break. You're going to open the fridge, you're just going to grab something. All right, it's quick and convenient. So the main thing is to have quick, healthy snacks available. So this means fruits, it means yogurts, it means frozen berries I have a lot of, it means having nuts, all those things that are like super easy, takes zero prep time. So if you get hungry as an online player, you want to reach for these options. All right, so yeah, my go-to is going to be nuts, fruits and frozen berries and yogurts. Those kind of things are going to work really well. All right, so having those available. And on the flip side, avoiding having very processed and quick, inconvenient, unhealthy snacks. I know some of you guys will be like, yeah, it's tough for them because my partner gets loads of chocolate or whatever. It becomes challenging, but your environment has a big impact on what you're going to eat. So if I go downstairs now and I'm hungry, I'm going to open the fridge. All I will see is fruit. I put my eggs in the fridge as well, so I'll see eggs, I'll see some milk, and I'll see some vegetables. That's all I'll see. I'll see some meat that hasn't been cooked yet. That's pretty much what's in my fridge at the moment. And then on the side, I've got some nuts that I can always snack on, and that's my options. All right, so now if I get hungry, I can't deviate. I'm not going to run to the shop and just buy loads of shit. I'm just going to eat what's most convenient. So I'm going to make a meal based on those options. So you want to control your environment as much as possible, and definitely having quick and healthy snacks available. All right, and then to avoid, which a lot of online players struggle with, is late night binges. All right, a lot of players will go, yeah, Adam, I'm good at breakfast. During the grind, I'm fine. I eat like good snacks and just moderate meals. But then after I finish my grind, I just binge. I just eat everything. I just eat everything in sight and just go on like mad binges. And this is bad for many reasons. One, it generally impacts your body composition. You're going to put on weight by overeating calories. 2, it impacts sleep negatively. If you're going to bed with a stomach full of junk, you're going to wake up the next morning low energy. So though it might not affect, you might go, oh well, I finished my grind, it doesn't impact me, it's going to impact your next day, the energy you have for the following day. All right, so you want to avoid late night binges. That doesn't mean you can't eat after your grinds. I'm talking about binges, like eating too much, eating in excess. All right, so you can choose a post-grinding meal, but avoid late night binges. That's challenging. I know a lot of you guys will be like, easier said than done, Adam. Alright, so that's some of the main pointers for fueling your body for energy. We're now going to go into movement and how we can use exercise to make sure we're feeling energized throughout our grind. So as a live player, it's very easy to get in the habit of saying, I don't have time for exercise, I can't move because I'm at a casino all day. In reality, you're just going to be a bit more organized. Alright, so most of you will have either a consistent window before you start your grind, if you're like a late night player, or you'll have a consistent window after your grind, if you're grinding earlier and you're finishing someone in the early evening. Alright, so you've got to choose which of those windows is going to work well for you to do your exercise. Alright, most players, live players, will have a window before they grind. Alright, and fitting in some form of exercise before is going to be very good. Alright, now in general, for most people, in order to prime your brain to think and perform at its best, cardio, some form of cardio, getting the heart rate going, is going to be better for performance at this casino. All right, so cardio before, and then, or gym after. All right, now if you're someone who likes the gym and you go to the gym beforehand, awesome, that's completely fine. I'm saying if you're going to choose which one, cardio has slight advantageous benefits over just hitting heavy weights in terms of getting the brain ready. All right, myself, I used to grind from 4 in the morning till 2 p.m. So quite a weird schedule, but that was me playing online in Bali. And I would hit the gym hard, like heavy weights, about say 2, 3 p.m. And that worked really well because after the heavy weights, I felt a bit of a drain. Now, for some of my career, I experimented with having the weights. I think I did it mid-session because I was waiting at 4 in the morning, no gyms are open. So I do my gym session around 8 a.m. And for me personally, I would feel quite drained mentally after a hard gym session. All right, lifting with really heavy weights to failure. I come back and play poker, and I just wasn't quite there. That's because the central nervous system, which is governing the brain and your thoughts as well, was taking a little bit of a beat down. I was going into a bit more of a relaxed mode after the gym. That was what I've noted, and other poker players I've worked with who are big gym goers have also noticed similar things. All right, so play around with it. If you're just doing like a light gym workout, not going too crazy, not lifting too heavy, then it doesn't really matter. But yeah, generally cardio before or gym after would be advantageous. And don't overcomplicate it as well. You get so many benefits from like 10 minutes of cardio before hitting the casino. Like literally do some star jumps, do some bodyweight push-ups, do some jumping jacks. It doesn't need to be complex if you're not someone who likes exercise, but some form of cardio before would be really good. And the next thing you want to do as a live player is you want to fit in 5 to 10 minute walking breaks. All right, it's very easy to just be sat there for a lot of hours. 3, 4, 5, 6 hours can pass by quite quickly as a live player, and you'll start your session, stand up nice and straight, and then 4 or 5 hours in, you're slouching like this, and you just haven't moved the body. Our bodies are designed to move often, all right? Some people say the reason we've got such a large brain is to facilitate movement, all right? Facilitate the body to actually move, all right? So you've got to fit in, I'd say, regular 5 to 10 minute walks, and to get practical with that, I'd say every 2 hours, for every 2 hours of grinding, try to do 10 minutes of walking. All right? I know it's hard because you're like, well, where am I going to go? Go for a walk around the casino, go for a break, go get some fresh air outside, but try and aim for 5 to 10 minutes every few hours. Super advantageous to keeping your energy throughout the session. Now, when it comes to being an online player, you have more options when it comes to selecting when you will exercise. However, having worked with hundreds of players, I found it's very important to have a consistent exercise time. All right, so although you can exercise at a wide range, most players who are having high energy and keeping up a consistent habit have a regular time with exercise. That could be a morning slot, afternoon, evening. The time doesn't matter too much, but the main thing is consistent. Be consistent with your exercise time. So rather than saying, I'll try to exercise 3 times this week, it would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be exercising at 2 p.m. All right, it's very specific and picking a time. You don't need to be military strict with this. You can have like a 30 to 60 minute buffer. So occasionally you might wake up later if you're grinding late, or you might have a schedule change, but in general, you want to decide what time works best for you and stick consistently with that. For me, I work out every day in that kind of 2 to 4 p.m. window, and I never change that. Occasionally, I might do cardio in the morning, but my main workout of the day stays static and has done for many years. That allows me to be more consistent with it. All right, next thing, as an online player, you have the option to stand often. All right, in the casino, bit weird if you keep standing up every 2 minutes. As an online player, standing is very important. I have an electric desk. I know a lot of players I work with as well like to have a desk that can be adjusted with one button. Click one button, desk goes high, pressing the button, it goes low, and it's really good for your energy to fluctuate between standing and sitting. One of the biggest energy sappers as an online player is being sat in your chair for too long. All right, so stand as frequently as possible. If you can invest in a stand-up desk or an electric desk, which has the option for both, I would highly recommend that. And then you also want to have regular 5-minute movement breaks. All right, as a live player, you probably have less frequent breaks, but you can go a little bit longer. Whereas online players, there's no reason every hour, every 90 minutes to stand up, go for a little walk, stretch your legs, and to fit in regular movement breaks. All right, so stand often. Plus regular 5-minute movement breaks. This is allowing you to keep your energy going throughout the session. And I know myself, like some of my lower energy sessions were when I negated all of these. I didn't exercise that day, I was sat all day, and I didn't fit in any movement. Right? I know these things seem small, but they compound a lot, and especially late in your session, they're going to make a big difference. All right, then finally we have recharging. Right? How do we recover from our poker session? Now, whether you're a live player or you're an online player, sleep is super, super important, all right? And most people need 7 to 9 hours sleep, all right? I would advise you, if you are wanting to get into recovery more, to invest in a tracker. I use the one called the Whoop Tracker. I've been using this for about 4 years, and it gives me a recovery score every day. It tells me basically how well I recovered from the stress and the work I took on, how my sleep went the night before, and it gives me a good score of how I'm doing in terms of recovery. All right, so it quantifies my recovery score. As a result, I can change behaviors to increase my recovery score going forward. But in general, for most live players and most people in general, 7 to 9 hours seems to be the right amount, but play around with the variables and find what works for you. For me, 8 hours is non-negotiable. I get 8 hours 90 to 95% of the time, and I feel great on 9. On 8. Some people need less, some people need more. Play around with those variables. Also, as a live player, you need to make sure you're taking regular breaks. I know a lot of players just play long sessions and they don't move. Like we said before, 5 or 10 minute walks, but generally it's getting away from the table and doing something that gives the mind a break from long sessions. All right, so regular breaks, whatever regular means to you, but generally every 60, 90 minutes, doing something that breaks up the action. And then you need some days completely off poker. I'd say most players need at least 1 day off a week, and in all honesty, most actually probably need two off days. So rather than being the person who shows up every single day, some of you guys will be the workaholic grinder who rarely misses a day, but having scheduled off days. And by off days, I mean no poker. All right, some players will go, oh yeah, on my off day I study for 6 hours. That's not an off day. All right, it's a complete switch off from poker. All right, so I think it's good to have at least 1 day of the week where you do other things that are non-poker related and you give yourself that off time. All right, then when it comes to online poker, the same apply, those three same apply, but you've also got options to have a recharge throughout your grind. All right, as a live player, you're in a casino, you haven't got too many opportunities to do things, but online, you've got a few more tools you can use. The first one is you can use 20-minute naps. All right, there's a lot of studies that have shown 20 to 30-minute naps are highly effective at cognitively recharging. All right, so it gives the brain a recharge. And if you've had a bad night's sleep or you're not fully rested, using 20-minute naps or 20 to 30 max, once a day, generally like the mid part, so let's say you wake up 10 a.m., you haven't slept too well, around 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. would be a great time to fit in a 20-minute nap. All right, I've done these for probably over 10 years now. It feels time flies, but I've been using them since I was in my early 20s to recharge the brain. And if I haven't slept well, I feel like I need it. 20-minute naps. Now it's a skill, you need to work on it. Some people can't fall asleep quickly, but if you do them often, you get good at falling asleep quickly. Right, 20-minute naps. Another great recharge as an online player, which you can't do live, is to take cold showers. All right, cold showers are so effective because they create a adrenaline response in the body. It's almost like turns on the fight or flight response. So you feel, the adrenaline and cortisol through your body, which revitalizes you. So if you're feeling tired, you're feeling bored, you're feeling low energy, taking a break, having a 5-minute, even a 1-minute cold shower can really reset you. A lot of the players I work with use these at least once a day, normally to start their session, and then they often use them like when they're feeling low energy. All right, so cold showers are really, really good. And then finally, because online poker is so demanding, because you're taking in so much information and processing so many decisions, it's really good after your session to be very low stimulation. All right, so by this I mean don't take in loads of new information, don't jump on social media, don't go on YouTube, don't overload the brain. All right, so after your grind, you want the brain to be able to shut down. Most of you guys will be playing probably late sessions, or some of you guys will finish earlier. Regardless, after you finish your grind, you want to have at least a 30-minute window before bed where you're down regulated. You're not taking in stimulus, you're not consuming more content, and for an online player that's challenging because you're at your computer literally most of the day, if not all day. So you've got to create a break where, okay, I'm not going to take in information during this period. All right, you could like read a book or like take in some like low stimulation content, because reading a book's very low stimulation compared to watching a YouTube video or playing computer games. But in general, you want to create like a 30-60 minute window after your grind to let the brain process things and just slow things down. All right, so low stimulation post grind. Alright guys, so we covered a lot today. So as to summarize, we looked at fuel in the body in terms of the nutrition, what you're eating around the grind and what to avoid. We looked at movement, what options you have and how to make sure you're always keeping the body moving to keep your energy high throughout your days. And then how to recharge, how to make sure you're recovering from the grueling poker grinds and making sure that you're able to perform well the next day. Watch this video back and have a think about the ones that apply to you and start making changes in that area. Some of them you'll be doing great with, some of you guys will be doing great with fueling, bad with movement, bad with recharging, and some of you guys will be doing a mix of either of them. All right, so have a think about it, apply the ones that are most useful for you, and let me know in the comments which ones you found most effective. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. If you want to learn more about this concept, I've got a free PDF guide for you, which you can get from the description, and I've got the 8 skills needed for elite poker performance. This one is skill number 8, energy optimization, and I go much deeper onto how to optimize your energy for poker.